beast! Ah!
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Not the Bees, the Nicolas Cage filmography podcast. I'm Megs.
I'm Elizabeth.
And this week we watched 2021's Prisoners of the Ghostland. I've seen this movie before. I love this movie, but just as a bit of a disclaimer, this is a very weird movie. The genre that it's listed under is fantasy horror thriller, which I don't think actually is accurate. I think that a more apt description is that this is a post-apocalyptic Japanese Western ghost story. I can't promise it will make more sense than that once we go through it. But so again, this is a very strange movie. We start in a bank that is very clean. It's very white, and everyone that is in the bank is dressed in very bright solid colors. So there's very bright blues, very bright oranges and reds, so on and so forth. And for all accounts, for all intents and purposes, this is a normal, clean, happy environment. And then we have Nicolas Cage's character and his partner, who in the movie do not have character names. They are only ever referred to as Hero, as Nick Cage. And then his partner, who's played by Nick Cassavetes, is only called Psycho. So they bust into this bank and they're there to rob it. And there's this little boy who is wearing a mask, but it's backwards. So the mask is actually on the back of his head. And he's at this giant, beautiful, colorful gumball machine in this bank, getting some treats while he assumedly waits for one of his parents. And so they're rushing to get all the money in the bags. And his partner looks a bit trigger happy. And this little tiny boy, who can't be more than like 6 or 7, reaches out with this big ass cup full of gumballs and tries to offer him one, not really understanding the kind of danger that he's in. And then we hear some glass break and the scene cuts to a different scene. We're now in an area called Samurai Town, and it's run by a white man who wears a white suit and a white Stetson, and he's called the governor. And the rest of the town is populated by women in traditional Japanese geisha garb and what appear to be a personal army of samurais that he has at his disposal. His granddaughter is one of these geisha girls, played by Sophia Boutella, and her name is Bernice. And we see her and 2 other women that clearly appeared to be prisoners. These women all live inside of like wooden cages that are front facing to the main drag of Samurai Town. And these 3 are escaping, and they get into a car and they drive away. And the next moment it cuts to another scene, and she's waking up in some very dirty, very like fallen down building that's really just, it's studs and a giant clock. And she goes to the center of it and she screams that she's not a prisoner. And then we get the title card. From there, we open on Nicolas Cage. He is in a prison. It looks like he's in prison in Samurai Town for the bank job that him and his partner had done. And he's wearing nothing but like a cloth diaper, like a what are they called? The big fighters? Sumo wrestlers, yeah. And he is, at this time, Nicolas Cage was 60 years old during this film. And he has a six-pack.
No way.
Mm-hmm,
No.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
60? No.
Yeah, I think he's going to be, if he's not already turned, I think he's going to be 63 this year. Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah. He had a 6-pack. He was built, like he packed on muscle.
Granddaddy can get it.
Granddaddy can for sure get it.
Granddaddy can get it.
It's probably why his current wife is like 28.
And
also met on the set of this film. Yeah. So he's let out of the jail in handcuffs and ankle cuffs and nothing but this like sumo wrestler cloth diaper thing. And he's presented to the governor, and the governor says, you're in prison for this thing that you did, but you're basically your reputation precedes you. From tales that I've heard, you can get in and out of anything. My granddaughter went missing and I need you to go and get her. Outside of Samurai Town, there's a highway and it's full of ghosts and evil. And he gives him a leather racing suit to wear. And the racing suit is embedded with 6 different explosive devices, 2 in the neck, 1 in each arm, and 1 covering each testicle. And he says, you have 3 days. If you go to strike a woman in anger, the sensors in your suit can tell and they'll blow up the bombs in your arms. If you are lustful towards a woman, the sensors in your suit will tell and they'll blow off one of your balls. And if you fail to make it back here in the allotted time, your neck device will also explode. They'll all explode at once. So he has this timer thing on his arm. It's very crude looking, but it has a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5, and only the 1, 2, and 3 are lit. He says if Bernice doesn't speak her name into the box, into the microphone, by the end of the 3rd day, that everything will just explode anyways. But if she speaks it, he'll get an extra 2 days to bring her back. So they give him a car. He goes to leave. And as he's leaving, instead of driving the car away, he jumps out of the car and grabs a bike and starts to ride that instead. And everyone is just standing behind him like, the fuck is he doing? So then the governor's general, who's Yasujiro, drives the car out and stops. And he's like, he doesn't actually speak in this movie, but he hands him the keys and Nicolas Cage is like, not a lot of time, right? So he takes the car, he gets to driving. He doesn't get very far when there appears to be some kind of apparition in the road. And it looks like a very large vehicle, maybe a bus or some kind of 18-wheeler. And there is a very scarred, wet-looking man sitting behind the driver's seat. And in front of the vehicle are all of these very old-time-looking samurai men that are wearing like the full samurai armor. And he stops and he's trying to figure out what's going on. And then he decides to just plow through them. And when that happens, they disappear. And we cut to daytime. And he's lying on the side of the road and being picked up by random people that we don't know who they are. And they're dragging him on like a handcart into this really weird area. And the entire time, they're chanting and saying these weird things about him. He has no idea what's going on. There's another handcart next to him with a young woman who happens to be one of the 3 women that were escaping. She was with Bernice when they made their escape. He asks if she's Bernice, and she says, no, but I was with her. So then they get into the area where all of these weird people live, and it's actually the rundown building that Bernice woke up in. That's really just all of its studs, but there's a giant clock in the middle. It looks like this probably used to be maybe a bank. Not really entirely sure. It's not really explained, but it's sort of like a cult, and it's run by a man named Enoch, who is one of the only other American actors in this movie. And their group is it's sort of like religion, I guess, but their religion is based on Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. There are scenes where you can see him reading passages from the book as though it's scripture, which is, again, very strange. There's also, where this big clock is in this building, there's a group of people, a line of men, like 7 or 8 of them, that are holding a rope that's attached to the second hand or the minute hand on the clock. And they're pulling it to keep it from moving forward so that they're not moving forward in time. They're just stuck in the same position. Additionally, where this cult lives, where this group lives, there's another group of people. They call them the Rat Men, and they're actually the people that found Hero and the other girl. And they live adjacent sort of to the cult. They're sort of like a mutually beneficial situation. So anyways, Nicolas Cage wakes up and he asks them what's going on. He says who he's looking for. And there's a person there that I guess recognized her photo and said she's with the mannequins over there. There is an area in this building where a crazy man in a top hat dresses people up in random broken pieces of mannequins, like arm sleeves, leg sleeves, different pieces of faces that cover them. Bernice is inside one of these ridiculously, almost terrifying doll creations.
I don't think it's fair to call the man that's creating these mannequins crazy. Everyone in this movie is fucking crazy.
You're absolutely 100% correct. It is sort of a blanket thing. Everyone is crazy, but there are, I would say, varying degrees of crazy. Like one of the characters, Susie, who I guess is actually Bernice's quote sister. It's very clear that most of these women were abducted at some point. She's insane, but it's due to the trauma that she's experienced living in Samurai Town under the governor. So, like, she is absolutely batshit crazy, but it's different from the guy that dresses people up like broken mannequins.
The broken mannequins and the dolls are creepy as fuck.
Mm-hmm. They're so creepy. So he finds Bernice. He finds the mannequin that she's been made into. And he tells her, like, you have to come with me. And the people that are there were like, no, she can't go. Like, she's here hiding from whoever. It's never really, like, explained who everybody is hiding from. It's just an assumed that there are ghosts that are living in this wasteland. So he convinces her to come with him anyways, even though she can't speak at that time. They get out of the compound, out of this building. He's pulling her on a handcart because she's still covered in mannequin. So she can't really walk. So he tries to, like, get her to get up, and then he tries to get her to, like, take all of the mannequin stuff off, and he's like, okay, I'll take it off. But, like, he just keeps saying, take it off. He keeps saying, take it, and he says it, like, 9 times. And then he gets her head free, and he goes to give her water. She leans her head back and opens her mouth, but she doesn't swallow. She just keeps the water there, and he just keeps pouring until it, like, starts coming out of her mouth. And then he makes a sort of very creepy sort of like, oh yeah noise. And then one of the bombs on his testicles is like, sir, no, we're not playing that. And he loses a testicle. And he passes out for some amount of time after holding his blown off testicle up and saying something in Japanese. During the time that he's out, he ends up having some kind of, like, weird dream where he's thinking about the bank again and thinking about the situation that happened there. And it wasn't actually him that killed anybody. It was his partner. And then he throws his partner out of the bank through a window, and there's a standoff with the police. And it turns out that when he goes to run from the police and his buddy gets shot, they're shooting at him while he's running, and they've struck at least one woman and her child in the crowd with these bullets. The mother dies, and the young woman, or the young girl that is with her, gets struck in her thigh. And when Nicolas Cage comes to, he realizes that the girl that he's looking for, Bernice, is actually the girl that got shot because he was trying to flee because he's seen the scar on her leg. So he goes back to her, and she's just laying there against the side of the cart, just crying. And he goes up to her, and he points to her scar, and he says, this was me. It's my fault. I'm so sorry. And then they're going to get up, and they start to get moving. But the second they go to move, here comes, in the daylight, this giant vehicle, whatever it was, on the highway that he saw. And these people are on the ground on all fours, and they're moving in a very not, like, human kind of crawling way. It's very creepy. And they're both grabbed.
It's very traditional Japanese ghost.
It is very traditional Japanese ghost. So I would also say that you probably do need to have some understanding of what Japanese ghost stories are like to understand this movie or appreciate it for what it is. And I think you and I both have, some limited understanding. We've seen enough. So yeah, so they're grabbed up by these people, and there's a struggle, and she's trying to get them off of him. He's trying to keep them away from her, and they're crowding her too much, and he goes to push her away to get her away from them. And because he's struck her in anger, now the bomb that's in his right arm goes off, which effectively gets rid of the creepy people that are on him. But then they both pass out again, and they wake up later, and everybody's gone, and she can't get him up. He's on the side of the road, and she's screaming, like, wake up, wake up, wake up. She's put her name in the box. She got her voice back from all of this, but she ends up making her way back to the rundown building where the Heathcliff cult lives. And she tells them that they're dead, that he's dead. This whole movie has just been strange at this part. There's a dream sequence that happens while they're both passed out before she makes it back to the rundown building where she's, they're both sort of like sharing the dream where they're back at the bank building, but they're not actually there. This is a dream sequence, and it's at night. and there is a woman there, and she's speaking in a distorted voice. I'm not sure if she's one of the ghosts. I assume that she is, but there is a story that's going on. A group of people are telling a story, and they have all these paintings that depict events that happened to get them to this place. And it's very beautiful, well done. Like, it's a good, like, skit that's done. So basically what happened is there was a nuclear plant, and it was infecting the ground, and all of the plants around it were absorbing all of the radiation. And then there was a truck with gasoline or some other explosive material, and it got hit by a prison transport bus, and everything exploded, including all of the greenery, because it was all radioactive. And that's what's left this wasteland. So they both appear to have this dream because they're both inside of it. So when she wakes up and gets back there and she tells him that they're dead, that he's dead, Bernice is completely, like, without hope. And a little bit late, about 5 minutes later, we actually see that he's not dead. He walks into town, but it's actually the rat men's section of the town. And he asks them, like, how long would it take to get all of these? Because the rat men, they have vehicles. They basically live in, like, an impound yard with vehicles. And their main rat man works on them. He's like, how long would it take to get all of these up and running to get the hell out of here? And then he goes back into the main area where the Heathcliff cult lives, and we find that he's alive, and they ask him what he saw. And he says, I always had the same dream. It's always just the ghosts. And then the last dream that I had, they came to me and they asked me for help. And we're getting out of here. And everybody's like, no, it's impossible. And he runs up to right in front of the clock. It's up like the staircase. And he presents this speech that is absolutely ridiculous.
Now hear this! Ghostlanders! Tomorrow, getting out of here. Impossible! It's impossible. Impossible? Ha! If you had told me 3 days ago I'd be standing here with one arm and one testicle! Trying to reason with you, bitches! I would have said impossible too.
So after this speech is done, they load everybody into the vans. They take them all back to Samurai Town. And at first, the only people that go in are Bernice and Hero. And they confront the governor, who is at this point mentally slipping. He's like, she's still not back yet. He's not coming back. He's, in a dangerous mood and making it feel very dangerous for everyone else. So they get back, and he gives Bernice back to the governor, and Bernice has no plans of staying there at all. So there's a big fight that ensues. Yusujiro, who is the samurai, sort of, I guess, the general for the governor, changes sides at this point and helps Hiro and Bernice take everybody out. Bernice also grabs Susie, the girl we talked about earlier, who is very, very insane, moves her behind a wall, and she's like, I'm coming back for you. And there's this really awesome, like, there's so many great fight scenes. And there's this really awesome fight scene that takes place, and then the governor is gone, and then everybody kind of rejoices, and, like, the movie ends. And it's a very, like, the premise of the movie is very simple. It's my granddaughter, who is not his granddaughter, has been kidnapped. I'm a criminal. You're a criminal. Go get my kid back, and then I won't kill you. Like, it's a very simple premise, but there is so much that happens in this movie. I've probably not done it justice. I've just spoken about it for 20 minutes, and I've probably missed so many different things. But yeah, this movie is great. In my opinion, I think it's a great movie. What are your thoughts, Elizabeth?
This movie is weird.
Yeah, it is.
It's weird. I would describe it as a kabuki western. It's got those elements of classic Japanese kabuki theater, but it's also got these elements of the classic American western.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. The use of color, the very vibrant, like very vibrant color palette. I don't know. I have been thinking on this movie for a whole day now, and I don't know what I think about it.
Do you think it's a bad movie or a good movie?
I don't know. That's what I can't decide.
It's just interesting.
It's just interesting.
Did you enjoy it or did you not like it?
I don't know.
Oh, wow. That's
I
interesting.
I honestly don't know what I think of this movie. It's weird. It definitely falls into this era of experimental film that Nick Cage has been doing since the late teens.
2010s. Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely an experimental movie. It's definitely weird. I don't know what I think about it. I really don't.
I mean, you're right that it's very weird. This is a strange movie. Again, as I said at the beginning, like once we got through it, I didn't think that it was necessarily going to be any clearer than that. I think it's worth the watch.
I think it's worth the watch. I would definitely say it's worth watching.
Yeah.
But you have to go into it recognizing that this is a piece of surrealist cinema. And it's
Yeah.
not meant to make logical sense. It lives more in the space of allegory
Yeah.
than it does in reality. And you I think part of my problem is that I didn't know anything about this film going into it, so I was completely not expecting what I was presented. Whereas maybe if I had seen a trailer or had listened to a podcast about it or had read anything about it, maybe I would have been a little bit more prepared for what happens and for the approach that it takes to its world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely something that you need to be open-minded about. It does help, yeah, if you've had any kind of experience with it, whether you've read it, watched something about it anywhere. I mean, you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head with it being very much allegory. There's a lot of different things about this movie that I think are inferences to our modern day living. I think a lot of it is also just personal haunting, like you can't run from your past.
There's a scene at the end where the three of them, Hero, Bernice, and Susie, are sitting on a bench, and Bernice lays her head on Hero's
Hero.
shoulder, and Susie lays her head on Bernice's shoulder, and you can see the signs behind the bench. And one of the signs directly behind Bernice's head says "Make the country great again."
Oh yeah.
And it just kind of hit me that like they're making an allegory for modern day America in certain aspects of this film.
Yeah.
I don't know if that allegory works.
You know what? I don't think it does either. That seems like, I don't know if that was just like thrown in there last minute or if they just found it somewhere and they were like, oh, this is a great bus stop. I mean, from what I understand, the vast majority of this movie was filmed in Japan. There was some filming that happened, I think, in like LA at some point. So I don't know if this was a manufactured scene or something they just found. But as far as like the movie as a whole, there is no real like political overtone to like modern day. It's just a general, like that's the only thing I would say is like direct towards American government and that kind of situation. So yeah, I don't think that it works either. I'm not sure if that was just like a throwaway thing or if it was meant to stay on like the editing room floor or something, but I agree with you. Overall, if I had to give this movie a letter grade, which is really difficult because like this movie is not even itself rated, I would say I would probably give it a B because there's so many things about it that are enjoyable, like the color, the soundtrack, the writing is actually not bad. The fight sequences are very good and well coordinated.
I would also give it a B. I was thinking about this long and hard about what letter grade I would give it, and I would also give it a B. I like I said, I think it's interesting. I think it's worth watching. I just don't know that I enjoyed it.
That's fair. I think that's fair. This is a really strange movie. This is probably like one of the weirdest movies that he has ever made. So, I mean, yeah, like it's completely understandable to have mixed feelings about it. I like this movie, but again, I had experience with it because I watched it the year that it came out. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think at the time I was like, what the hell did I just watch? Like, what the fuck was that?
Was it more enjoyable for you watching it the second time?
I think so, yeah. Because I understood the setting better. Because, I mean, like, you don't really think about it until you get into it and you're like, this has, like, so... But, I don't know. Like, I don't consider this a horror movie. It's definitely not a horror movie. It's definitely a ghost story.
It is a ghost story. I agree with you. It's not a horror movie. I think I hit the nail on the head with kabuki western.
Yeah, I think that's probably closer than what I had suggested.
I don't believe it doesn't... It defies other genre classification. It's not a horror movie. It's not a science fiction film. It is an allegory, but we're used to seeing our allegories wrapped up in science fiction or horror. It's not really a comedy, and it's not really a drama. Yeah. It's
very subtle. Like, for all of the action sequences that happen, for all of the blood that we see spilled and all of the murder that we see happen, this is not an overbearing kind of like tone in this movie. It's very subtle. It's actually kind of melancholy.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did enjoy it. I think I enjoyed it the first time I watched it as well. But again, I was very like, what the hell did I just watch? It was very interesting. I had a lot of questions about it. But I mean, yeah, I think watching it this second time, like, I do think that I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was looking up a couple of things. I mean, I don't do a whole lot of deep dives, but I do like to try to find a couple of things about it. One of the things that I found on the trivia section on IMDb is that this movie was, for I don't know why, initially supposed to be filmed in Mexico. And then the director ended up having a heart attack and had to go back to Japan. Nicolas Cage moved to Japan. He was just like, I'm just going to move there and we're going to do this there. Doesn't make sense to go back to Mexico. But because that happened, originally Psycho, who's played in this movie by Nick Cassavetes, who, by the way, had not worked with Nicolas Cage since Face Off in 97. Nick Cassavetes replaced Ed Skrein, and Sofia Boutella replaced Imogen Poots. And I'm going to be real honest with you right now. I feel like I'm really glad that they dropped out because it moved to Japan. I feel like Sofia Boutella and Nick Cassavetes are better in this film than Ed Skrein or Imogen Poots would have been. So I don't know. I just thought that was interesting.
What would we give the Nick Caginess of it?
See, I'm torn because I really want to give him an A for this movie. Honestly, I want to give him an A for anything that he's done in the last 30 years because he's a powerhouse and he's very in control of his instrument. So, I mean, I don't think we've yet seen a disappointing offering from him. Not really. But I think gun to my head, if I had to give him a letter grade, I feel like he probably deserves a B more than an A.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Was it one of his best performances? No. But I think I'm trying to play fair here, knowing the powerhouse that he is. But yeah, I think I would give it a B. I would give it a B. It's very weird. It's a solid effort. Yeah. I'd give it a B. I'd give him and the movie a B.
Well, there you have it. This movie is weird, man.
This movie is fucking weird. But listener, if you want to drop a comment on the episode and let us know what your thoughts are, if you've ever seen this movie, anything that, you want to ask for, like, if you've never seen it and are thinking of watching it, we'd love to hear your thoughts, your questions, whatever. Also, if you want to kick us a couple of bucks and help support what we're doing here, you can find us at patreon.com/notthebees. We are also on Instagram at notthebeespod, and every week we will throw up a few pictures from the film that we've watched. Yeah, we'd be grateful if you followed along. All right, well, I've been Megs.
I'm Elizabeth.
And we'll see you next time.